Hello out there, cyber friends. This is the Middle Man coming back at you again from Walker's Music with yet another word for today. Um, I must say, and I want to go right ahead and go into the main reason why I'm doing this here particular segment tonight. Brother Hammerman, he sent me a link to that was on LearnGospelMusic.com forum. And Brother Sam Talbot had enlightened him about. And we all know Brother Sam Talbot, outstanding musician, great in my opinion. And it was some videos, a series of videos on there, and it was like a forum, a symposium of musicians that got together at this house. I don't know who home it was, but they had a very nice setting. And I sat there and I guarantee you I watched every video in the first segment. It was about 6 of them. And then I started on the second segment, but I had to get up and start on something else. But we want to use the word people. And it is perhaps many scriptures that I can make reference to about some of the things those guys were talking about. And I mean, I don't have but 10 minutes, and I'm not going to be able to finish it, but we're going to see what we can do. And I just want to say that I really enjoyed those clips, the videos of those guys, and I didn't know any of them. But all I know that all of them, more than likely, were musicians and church musicians. Some of them studio musicians that are both, perhaps. I think most of them were both. They did work with the gospel artists, the well-known gospel artists like Martha Menizzi, Marvin Sapp, Norman Hutchins, and things. I heard them names come up a few times during the video series. And the guys were talking some awesome talk. I mean, and I know this to be a fact because being a minister of music myself, and I see a lot of it, and I'm not going to try to dress it up. That's not my style. I don't sugarcoat things. I call it as I see it. And those guys, that's exactly what they were doing. They were not trying to put anybody down. They were not trying to pick on no one individual group or sector. They were just speaking things that they have experienced. And I think we all as musicians, have felt and succumbed to some of those same circumstances. Now, the one thing that, among many, but the one thing that stood out for me when the guy was talking, they were speaking of how the younger generation, as a matter of fact, Bruce Allen, I heard him say the exact same thing in an interview with Jamal Hartwell some months back. Said that musicians rush in, now they are paying them way too much money from the start, and they come in and they throw some beats together and they learn a couple of praise songs. Now you want to give them $400 and $500 a Sunday. They played a few songs and they decide the rest of the service and they come back in. Well, we all know that's not ministry. That's not ministry, and those guys made note of that, and I must agree with them 100% because, like I said, Bruce Allen also said that very exact same thing. And him being a pastor now himself, I know that when it comes to ministry, and I heard one of the guys make a statement that whether he got $1,000 or a nickel, it wouldn't matter because he's in the ministry. It's all about God, and that is so true. That is so true. And then the other guy said, and he came back and said, yeah, but that's all well and good, but the Bible does say this, people, that you don't muzzle the ox that treaded out the corn. In other words, you let him eat what he wants. He's the workhorse. And I know a lot of times I feel I know it used to be. It's not in the latter years, but when I first got into this, and I've been in it now close to about 20 some odd years, and I've been playing about 30 some years, but I've been. I mean, I mind you, I wasn't a performer, quote unquote, but I could hold my own, and I'm yet learning. And but I've seen a lot of this stuff that what these guys was talking about in the church setting. We, the church, we do not value our musicians, I feel, in the way that we should. And I'm not saying this as a talking about to be patted on the back or to be put up on a pedestal. No, I'm not speaking of that sort of thing. But as the scripture said, don't muzzle the ox that tread out the corn. Now, when it comes to doing certain things for the musician, I've seen it, and I have succumbed to some of that same treatment. A lot of people don't want to do anything, if anything, or nothing at all for the musician, quote unquote. When it comes to doing something extra for the musician, that's out of the question. And then they don't even want to pay. In certain cases, I've known this to be a fact, that they don't even want to pay the musician $25 to do a whole church program. And I'm not talking about playing 2 or 3 chords. I'm talking about play a whole program from start to finish. The same thing you do on a regular service, they want you to do that anywhere, and they don't want to give you $25 for that. And I mean, it's ludicrous, but it's true. And then the first thing people say is not about the money. Now, I've heard preachers say that. It's not about the money. No, and they are right. It's not about the money. But it's not about the money also when you get what you get. Oh, yeah. I got to say it. I mean, it's never about the money. But I've seen people, and they don't necessarily, in some of my churches that I'm in, some of the people they bring in there, a speaker or something like that, they don't even perhaps be a minister of the gospel. They're just any run-of-the-mill person, anybody, any Joe Blow. I'm going to just say it like it is. They come in there. They have no problem at all giving them 100, 150 just to speak for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, buy them lunch and everything. But the musician over there in that corner working hard, sweating, playing his heart out, got the spirit high. They don't want to give him $15. And he better not ask for a Coca-Cola. So I got to agree with those musicians. And I agree with them wholeheartedly. And it's not everyone now. See, like I said, I'm very careful not to put everybody, because everybody don't think alike. And everybody's not in the same category. It's not everybody, but a vast majority. They have a problem when it comes to doing for, like I said, the musician. In my case, I'm a sole musician in my church. I don't have no other musicians. But there in a lot of other church settings where you got a chamber band and orchestras to the degree in some of your larger churches. And I'm not familiar with those. I don't know how the financial policies work in those churches. I'm not here to judge anyone, but I'm just saying I've seen what these guys are talking about. I've seen it in action. And I feel that the ministry is ministry. You know, we need the word, but you also need, if you have a good music ministry that in your church, and I'm saying it around here, I can't say it about in other places, but I know in my area, if your church doesn't have a good musician, your service is dead. I mean, straight dead. Now you can say all you want by clapping your hand and patting your feet. That'll give you a little rhythm, sure it will, but it ain't nothing like having you a real good musician. One that knows what he or she is doing and got a good choir and a praise team to get that spirit high. That pastor doesn't have to do that much when it comes to his time. But all of it works together, people. Believe it. And in these last few seconds, I'm just saying, it all works together. Everything is needed in the kingdom. So we don't need to get jealous of one another, but let's just do what's right. And you know, Mitty Man always say that. Just do what is right. So I take my hat off to those musicians. I don't know who they were, but if anybody does, please give them a shout out. This is Mitty Man saying peace and goodbye.